Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Artcast. This is an interesting one. Well, first of all, little business out of the way. This is a commission piece by one That Darn Fox Creations. This is Amelia Carmichael, a sort of almost Warner Brothers-esque rabbit. More so Babs Bunny than, say, Lola. Very interesting design, I assume, for some sort of very noir, maybe even vampire hunter-esque setting. Very interesting design. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and of course I just used Clip Studio to get a quick pose down with the mannequin tool. That's really the only thing I've used it for. I love the tools that you get with Paint Tool Saya, as I have mentioned quite a few times. It's becoming a broken record. Actually, what you're seeing in the corner there is that can't be real-time footage. I guess it was, since I literally timed this video to that video. I woke up one day with, again, two more leaks out in the one in the side yard and one in the front yard. The front yard one was real bad. It was actually hidden under a bush, which is, I went out one morning and there was a ton of water out in the street. I was like, oh my God, what? Do we have a leak? And I looked at the usual spot, which is the strip of land over by the it's over by the side of the house. It's where all the electrical boxes and the timer for the water system is. And I looked down and I was like, no leaks, no nothing there. And I looked in the flower bed and I looked near the tree stump. And it turns out it was hidden between the two of the front bushes. A place that it never has sprung a leak, so I guess it was just about time. And it just gushed out in the street, and I had to wait till the next morning to go and well, first of all, it's like 120 here, so I naturally waited until I was going to do this in the morning. I think this is like 5 in the morning when I started. And I just got a hunch to a wild hare, appropriately enough for the drawing topic, to just film it, because I was like, why not? This is actually filmed on a regular camera I have. I have a bunch of old cameras. One is one I found at a Savers. It was a $30 little flip camera that you. It's actually, you get a pretty nice picture on it. It doesn't have all the modern charms of, let's say, focus and low light filming and stuff like that. I bought a new camera maybe about a year ago with Christmas money, and that one's very nice. It's got Wi-Fi and just all sorts of the neat little googogs that are very helpful. This one's just it was probably cutting the line when it first came out, but it gets the job done, and I wasn't afraid for it to get wet, which is why it was disposable. I wasn't going to use my camera, and I was going to use something else, but I feel like I should point out now that what you saw there was a home improvement mug, which, giving the current sort of political and sociological standings of one Tim Allen, is truly the only appropriate course to use a home improvement mug, which I bought, of course, at a Goodwill. I was going through a phase where I would buy several mugs. One iteration of a gaming channel that doesn't exist is Coffee and Conquest, where I would get up early in the morning and have a cup of coffee, point out which new mug I bought, if I had bought a new mug. And that was going to be one of them, but I just figured, I'll use you to dig out mud. I think at some point I changed the camera angle, and you should be able to see a better view of just the damage that goes on. It's interesting because these gushers come from like the smallest, almost like tiniest little gashes in the line, and they're just enough to like send a huge torrent out. And this is like maybe the third or fourth leak I've repaired not this month, but this summer. It always happens like starting around maybe May, and then it sort of dies down after I've fixed like the first handfuls. It dies down a little bit. This is actually quite late in the year. What happens is that over the winter the ground gets cold, and then when it starts to heat up, when everything starts to heat up, the line then expands, and then you get these little cracks everywhere. Or sometimes a plant will just, the roots will just try and get to whatever water they can find. One time, you'll see, I have to repair it with these little couplings, and one time I went out there and I found roots actually got in between the couplings. They like grew into the very like minute openings that were there, and they just kind of wrecked the plastic by just warping it with their growth. I must have been walking around somewhere. I don't know what. Oh yeah, I may have been talking. Oh, here we go. I had to turn the water line on to see what was leaking. That's one of the worst parts about the fixing any leak on the side of the house, because there's a wall between this leak and the water box that controls everything. And so what I have to do is I have to run the circumference of the entire house, flip on the switch just a little bit, just enough to kind of figure out where the leak might be coming from. And then I think something went wrong here, where I switched it off too soon, because what was supposed to be happening was supposed to flow a little more, and I was supposed to be able to see where the leak was. And I want to throttle whoever put this in, because this particular leak was the hose was shoved under this other PVC tubing that I don't know what it's for, actually. I hope it's not like any sort of electricity. But of course I'm not going to touch it. Anyway, they tucked it right under there, so I always had to like reach under and pull out and readjust everything. Yeah, there it goes again. Yeah, it's a gusher, all right. But anyway, getting back to here, like I said, I used a sort of digital puppet to just get the pose right. And of course, I spent more time on the gun than I did the pose. Yeah, in fact, I was watching. There was a Twitter post, which I think was a Twitter post of a Tumblr post. So don't get me started on that. Who owns the actual rights to that? But credit where credit is due. And it showed a bunch. Oh yeah. I know what it was. It was that astronaut meme where it's like, I think it started from like flat Earth. Like there's an astronaut, and he's looking at a flat Earth, and the astronaut exclaims or observes, it's like, wait a minute, it's flat. Because the idea is he gets up into space and it's supposed to be round, and then the astronaut behind him has a gun and says, always was. And that's the meme. It's the always was meme with astronauts. And of course, the internet has sort of has reclaimed it for much more savory purposes, other than any sort of conspiracy nonsense. And the one I was looking at was just all the reference work that Disney had done with, like actors acting out their roles in Alice in Wonderland, and Sherry Stoner being the model for The Little Mermaid, and the astronaut who's dumbfounded. He goes, "Wait a minute, it's all references?" And the astronaut behind him says, "It always was." And that is, of course, referencing that people say you shouldn't use references, or, that references are cheating. And I say, nah. They just kind of, there is a certain, I will say there is a certain sort of finesse that you can get if you start off from scratch, but as you can tell, I've got my hands literally forearm deep in holes most of the time. I need to cut corners whenever I can. In fact, you may notice that we're going back to the original format for these artcasts, like short little 30-minute things where I just, more like, journals in a way, which is why I like to think of them as. We're doing that because, on top of so many other just weird shit that's been going on, we have a problem with Cox. And the problem with Cox is a bunch of morons. Now, Cox is their internet provider out here. And at the beginning of the year, me and Grandma sat down. For those who don't know, I'm sort of her caretaker here. I moved in maybe a couple years ago while she had heart issues. But anyway, we sat down and I said, "Hey, the internet out here is really slow, and I would like to do some streaming and do some let's plays and stuff like that, and that would really help me if I could just get at least bump up to the next level," which I think was maybe 30 instead of just the 10. And she was like, "Okay, well, let's sit down and talk." And we got on the phone with Cox, and we talked to someone, and we said, "How much would it be to bump up the internet to the next level?" And they were looking over the computer, and they said, "Well, it looks like it's going to be maybe about $50 a month." And I was like, "Okay, well, I can swing that." If we add that on, and then Grandma started asking about, "Hey, what would happen if we got rid of this one box in the bedroom that we don't use? How much money could we save on that?" And I don't know what happened. I don't know what the representative we were talking to. She must have plugged some things in her on her end and said, "Oh wow, you can save $10 a month." And we were like, "Wait, are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah, well, we bump up your internet and we take away that one box, and you'll keep your little contour, is that what it's called? I guess so. You'll keep the contour, and you'll be able to watch her little crime dramas." Grandma's obsessed with what is it? It's like the murder channel, the murder channel. I don't know, investigations. It's not like Unsolved Mysteries, but it's pretty much in the same vein. They talk to cops and stuff like that. I don't know what channel it is. I think it's 26 or something here. But I'm getting away from the point. The point is that we set everything up, and for maybe 3 months, I had really good internet. I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then I wake up one morning and I find that my internet's super slow. And I'm like, and by the way, this is not purely for streaming. This is also for uploading videos. Any video longer than an hour, like me say, maybe an art cast, would take like half a day of clogging up the internet. So that was a pain. So yeah, I was like, okay, well, and then, we set it up. And then again, I wake up one morning, internet's super slow. And I reset all the equipment, and I'm like, it's still so slow. And I call Cox, and I'm like, or no, I don't call Cox. I go on the internet, because I just check what's going on, like if there an outage or something. And it says we got the bottom of the barrel basic internet package. And I was like, okay, what's going on there? Why do we have that? I thought we bumped it up. And I call someone, and they say, I'm of course I'm dealing with a completely different person. They say, oh, well, because of COVID, because of the Backstreet Boys reunion, we gave all of our customers, we upgraded their internet, for free for a couple months. And then that went away because we got tired. It was supposed to go away by now. It hasn't. We wanted to give you the illusion that we cared, but we really don't. We don't even care enough to, follow the requests that you give us, because there was no record of them switching over to a higher grade of internet on a permanent basis. And I was like, what do you mean? He says, like, we have no record. You sent in a box, and that saved you $10, and that's about it. And I'm like, so you have no record of us calling and saying? He's like, nope, it's just the box. So in a weird bit of serendipity, I can only assume what happened is that the woman on the other line, the first woman, when we were trying to get everything settled, was just plugging in numbers, and then the equation popped up, it says, oh, I want to go increase the internet. Okay, we'll increase the internet because we'll give customers free internet because of a deadly virus. I can only assume that when she just put in the equations of faster internet, less box, that that popped up, and it gave us a price, and it says, oh, this will be your price for the going forward, not knowing, or not even like any sort of red flag or little anything indicating that this would be a temporary on her end. And I was wondering why the hell. I was wondering, why wouldn't it be more expensive for faster internet? And sure enough, I guess it wasn't. I guess we just lucked out in a bit of that. And by the way, I'm not. Let's see, how can I put this? I'm not going to push the issue right now, because recently Grandma just she had to like repair her transmission. I think what happened once is that she drove it home one night from a card game in neutral and did something to it, because I found it in neutral one time. And it wasn't moving, luckily enough, but I think what she did is she did that. I think it was dark. I think she wasn't looking. I think she was tired, and just kind of wrecked the transmission. I don't even know if you can do that. But yeah, sadly, she had to get that one of the rings in the transmission just shattered, and that needed to be replaced. And also, she again is having trouble with her iron. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm still, I always, even though I'm living here, I do repairs, I do cooking. She still likes to do laundry for some reason. I think that's just something that she enjoys. And the dishes after dinner, that's one of her rituals. if she's not too tired. But anyway, the point is I still consider myself a guest in her home. A guest and that's concierge. Is that the right word? Whatever. So I'm not going to press the issue when she's got other things to worry about, because I know this sort of stuff confuses her. As long as she gets her murder channel, then she's happy, and if she's happy, I'm happy. So I will manage with slow internet, and then maybe I don't know. I don't know when the right time is to bring it up, but it's not now. And by the way, this is still a manageable setup. As long as I'm producing stuff, I can still upload. One thing I did do is I cloned my computer, which was a very interesting process. Basically, I bought almost the exact same kind of tower that I had, and it had a decent motherboard in it, but for like $15 at a Goodwill. I just came across and was like, oh, this is great. Because the idea was to replace Mom's old computer, which is like really old. And I was like, well, I still have Grandma's old hard drive, and this is a tower. If I could get maybe like a decent, just some other decent parts, I could like make her a desktop. And she says, thanks, no thanks. I like my tablet, which she does. I got her a tablet and I got her a printer, so she's all set up. She likes her tablet. She doesn't want a big bulky computer. In fact, I offered to give her one of my old laptops, and she was like, no, this is too big for me now. So yeah, good for me. But I was like, I got basically the same kind of computer just sitting here gathering dust. So what I did is that I took an old hard drive that says it has an error in it. It says it's going to fail one day. And we got it looked at by a guy, and he says, oh yeah, it'll fail eventually. Might be 3 years, might be a month, whatever. So I did a little experiment. I just cloned my desktop PC, and I cloned it and I put it in that one, and I got an old graphic card that I had, and I was like, other than sort of a boot up message, I've got a second desktop. So what I do now is that instead of tying up this computer, and also like you've got the laptops, but the laptops have like almost zero memory compared to, your desktop. This one's got like 16 gigs. I bought like maybe another 8 for that, and I got it for a steal at $20 online, and I dumped it in there. I was like, okay, so this is powerful enough to do some video editing. So yeah, what I do is I just turn that baby on. I have it sitting out in the I had it sitting out in the garage on the station, but that got too hot. So I just brought it in, and I turn it on. I get everything set up. I move footage, and I move it from I have all the footage on a USB drive. I take it over there. I say, hey, spend the next 3 hours processing this footage, or finalizing this video. And it says, okay, I could do that. And then I say, okay, now spend another 4 hours uploading it to YouTube because the internet's so slow. And it says, okay, I'll do that. Oh, by the way, you are crazy because I'm a computer and I can't talk. And I say, don't you sass me. I gave you life. And I throw my whiskey bottle at the wall next, just barely grazing it. I was going to say, I was immediately I'm going to diffuse that joke. I was like, no, I don't drink. Joke. But yeah, that's That seems like a fine enough solution for whenever one of these whenever one of the computer has to do something, like upload a video or finish processing something, I can always dump it onto another computer and be like, hey, just work on this. I guess that's the secret. You've got like you got to have a render farm. Only my render farm is stuck together with like spearmint gum and toothpicks. Okay, so right now I'm dumping all the mud back into the hole. I now have a system where I keep all the rocks in one pile and all the gravel in another, and then another tarp for the mud. My uncle, when he started doing that, he was the one who originally did this, and he just made a frickin' holy mess where he'd just like take a shovel to the ground, like rocks, gravel, and mud and all, and just dump it into a big pile. And then when that was all said and done and you had to like put everything back, you'd like actually pick up more gravel out the bottom of the mud and dump it in. It's like, ah. But anyway, I've done this so often. I've got a good system. I got this done. Actually, I was surprised when I looked at the clock, because I was like, oh, wow, I've got this down to like 20 minutes in the front and then 30 minutes for this one, which was difficult because there was multiple lines and I had to figure out which one was what. And of course, I mixed it in with a little bit of sand. You mix the mud in with the sand, and if there's ever another leak there, it'll show up quicker because the mud will the sand will just move out of the way of the water. And I am meticulously replacing the river rock, and if I did my job right, you won't even know that there was a leak there. You will, because there's still a bunch of there's like a bunch of sludge all around on the other rocks. So what I did later is you have to wait till everything gets good and dry, and then you take a hose and you just kind of wash everything off. And this rabbit's looking pretty good. Again, like I said, it's just a really interesting design. I almost like imagine like a vampire hunter rabbit. What I really liked and what I think is a pretty neat design, and I specifically tried to replicate this, was her like very long, almost saber-tooth-esque front tooth. It was a very interesting design. It wasn't a fang, but it was almost getting there, just long enough. Again, I think that's like a pretty neat design. I mean, honest critique, the outfit is a little bit what we're gonna say. Let's see, what word do I want to use? Atypical of sort of like that outfit, but it was simple enough and it's dynamic enough to like really pull it off. At least it wasn't like a bunch of zippers and crazy stuff like that. Like usually when people try to make OCs, they try to like I don't know, like do really, really bizarre things with their outfits. I was going to say I had a little bit of confusion about whether that was a fur on her stocking or if it was something else, and I had to actually get clarification of that from the commissioner. But again, I'm happy with this, and moving on to the next project. I will see you all later in the next video. You have a good one.